Welcome. We're on the red couch with Alan and Stephanie Rodriguez, a loving team on many levels who have been married for 19 years. Stephanie works in the insurance industry, and Alan is a talented professional photographer. Alan has Wilson's disease, a rare inherited disorder that causes too much copper to accumulate in the liver, brain, and other vital organs. They have experienced the positive and negative ways that individuals with disabilities are looked at in today's society. Their vision is for people to view those with disabilities as individuals with the same hopes and desires as anyone else. Together, they volunteer for Care to Try, an organization helping those with disabilities gain a sense of fulfillment by giving them unique opportunities, such as participating in triathlons. Stephanie, Alan, I am thrilled to have you on the red couch.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're thrilled to be here.
So for the purposes of our time, we have time constraints for the show, and because of the difficulty that you have with speech, I think I'm just going to ask Stephanie to answer most of the questions and to translate and help us to communicate both of your voices.
Hey.
Okay?
Okay.
So I want to talk about Wilson's disease first. When did you first discover, Alan, that you had Wilson's disease, and what were the symptoms?
It wasn't until he was 18 and he had graduated high school when the symptoms began to come on him. He started with slurred speech, hard to swallow food. It was really the neurologic aspect of the disease that was the most prominent, and that happened to him first.
So if I was 18 years old and I was a karate expert and I was living my life and feeling like it was really fulfilling, and then I couldn't speak and I couldn't walk and I couldn't talk, I think I would be incredibly angry at the world, and I just would not believe it was fair, and I think I would go into kind of feeling sorry for myself. I don't know, I think I'd be just totally beside myself. So did you experience that? Everything.
It went through all range of emotions, the anger, the depression, grief. Yep. It's you have a loss of self, so
right.
It's a grieving process that you go through.
But you've totally taken that and made a huge change. You didn't say stay stuck in it, but you could have stayed stuck in it and no one would have blamed you, but you didn't. You've taken your life, you've made incredible changes, and now you are a thriving professional photographer with a massive range, I might add, some people are just stick to weddings, some people stick to, nature, landscapes. You kind of do it all. So how did you decide to become a professional photographer, first of all, and also, how do you feel when you are photographing?
When he's doing the photography, he's in his own world.
Yeah.
He really feels that's his element. And his way, since the speech is slurred and most don't understand, that is his way of expressing himself to the world.
Yeah. Well, it is incredibly exciting to see the range of photography that you do and to show. So also, and I'm going to get to Care to Try in a moment, but one of the things that you've done is, well, let's talk about Care to Try. Let me back up, and then I want to say what you do during the triathlons. Tell me how you got started in Care to Try and what it's all about.
Well, Care to Try is a local nonprofit started 5 years ago by Mr. Simone, who called us about 3 years ago to help volunteer for the organization. He was
Right.
looking for a photographer at the time and had heard about Alan through a mutual friend of ours. So that's how we got started. We went out and started photographing races, photographing some of the programs he had running. And once we saw the impact that it was making in this community for people with disabilities, we were just hooked.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get enough, we couldn't stop, and it's been nonstop ever since.
It's kind of like a high, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does it work? How do people with disabilities get to participate in a triathlon? Tell us a little bit, the details of how it works.
Well, they get to participate in adaptive equipment. These are people that would not be able to do it on their own with a prosthetic or some other form of adaptability. So we do the race for them. We are their prosthetic, but they still get that sense of fulfillment. They get the cheer. They get the announcement that it's them. They get to wear the race number, and at the end they get the medal for it. So we're not acknowledged, we're just the prosthetic, but we love to see it that way because we want to see that they are included. And that's the mission, is to promote the inclusion of people with disabilities.
So you got to be one of the riders. So was this the whole thing? Was it the bike, the swim, and the run?
Yeah.
It was the whole thing. And from your vantage point, as a photographer, you got to shoot the whole experience from a participant's vantage point. So was it thrilling?
Yes, he's saying he got to experience what our participants normally get to experience in a race, and he got to be able to tell us what that was like and what it feels like to be included and not looked at as differently while you're there on the race course. In society, a lot of times you're ignored if you have a visible disability,
Right.
or overlooked. But in the race, you're getting all of the attention.
That's awesome. That's exciting. It's such a thrilling feeling. So now you are going to be one of the people that bikes, and then you have an attachment, like a harness or something, to pull an individual with, is it cerebral palsy mostly, or?
Primarily, most of our participants have cerebral palsy, and yes, this upcoming race, I'll be doing the biking portion.
So I couldn't do the biking alone, let alone pulling someone. I mean, you have to be really strong, physically super fit.
Well, I don't, I wouldn't consider myself that way. We consider ourselves average people that just want to make a difference, but it does take some practice and some know-how, because the race for us becomes about safety and comfort for our individual that's racing with us more than our time and our speed.
So how is this going to work? You're going to pick, are you doing all three of the events, or are you just doing the bike for this event?
For this particular event, I'm only doing the biking.
Okay, okay.
I've got another guide doing the swim and one doing the run for us.
Well, one would be enough for me, one of the events. I am interested in how you guys met, which I know a little bit about how you met, and you fell in love so quickly, which is all of our dreams and fantasies. So, but when we were talking earlier, you said something that really struck me. And you said, even though some of your family had a difficult time understanding your speech, you were able to understand it right away, and because you listened in a different way. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, his family was pretty surprised, because from the first day that we met, I was able to understand him and translate, and his dad asked me one day, well, how do you do that? I can't even understand my son. And I said, I listen with my heart and not my ears.
It's really beautiful. How can you teach us how to do that? How can people do that? Listen with their hearts. I mean, how do you do that?
I think it's just being open. It's a little bit of a vulnerable space for some people, and that's why I think people don't take the time to open up to others in society, people with disabilities, other people. But if you open up your heart and you listen to someone and you get to know someone, I think you'll break down barriers, and you'll see people for who they truly are versus what they look like, or things like that. It's a difference in a different perspective, I think, is looking at someone's heart and their intent.
Yeah, I really love that, listening with your heart. That really, that we talked for hours and hours, and that was the thing I really came away with. That was beautiful. So one of the things I'm interested in is you're out in public, and wherever you are, you're at a restaurant or Publix or wherever, and you see a person that looks different. And some people don't know, how do I approach them? What do I do? So what can you offer? What are some suggestions just to acknowledge the person and include them in your... Just go out and say, hi, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Mostly that's all they're asking for. That's all they're looking for is just like you would pass anyone else in the street and you'd say hi or nod. That's about it. Just acknowledge that they're there. They're a person. And at that time, you'll see them light up.
Yeah. So is it that most or many people, when they look different, feel like ignored or not heard or not seen? Yeah.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, you'll see that quite often, that they're just overlooked. And it's not, like I think we talked about, it's not maybe a hatred issue, but it's just an ignorance, or they don't know how to approach someone that's different.
Right, right. So a few years ago when you became involved with the Care to Try, and I always mess the name up, Try to Care, Care to Try, Care to Try, let me say it right. There's both angles of it. It's the people like yourself that are doing the biking and being the legs for people, as you said, and then there's the participants. So you both get something out of it. So I'm just curious, Stephanie, what you get out of being on that side of it.
What I've personally gotten out of it is the fact that there's someone else that you're looking out for. So it kind of takes the focus off yourself and off, all of us have struggles in life or something that we're going through. It could be anything, a loss, a job, any issue. But when you're there and you're there to be someone else's legs and hands and feet in a race, your mind is taken off your problem, and you quickly focus on that person and them having a good time, and you're the one being able to do that for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Now there's a new part of Care to Try, named in your honor, called Together We Are, A-R-E, Alan Rodriguez Experience. Can you tell a little bit about what you guys have done to bring it even further?
Well, the Together We Are program was started because at races we spend a great deal of time with caregivers and family members of our disabled participants, and we learn that they all have different medical needs that aren't always met, treatment programs, wheelchairs, different things that they need, prosthetics. So we came up with that to say, we get quite a bit of exposure, and let's use what we get out of it to help provide for these families if we can. So last year we were able to raise some funds to provide a family with a vacation at Reunion Resorts, and also provide them with a wheelchair accessible van that the family needed for their daughter.
And they're very expensive, I imagine.
Yeah, yes. It wasn't easy, and we weren't sure, but we did it, and we had some great local sponsors that came forward and really helped us out with that.
So this year, you're going to be doing more in that effort to try to help, like a specific family. Do you focus in on one specific family?
Yeah, we try to find a specific family, and then we'll focus on their need and raise the funds for their need. We'll create a campaign around it and get some media exposure for that family, and we want to do some more of that, what we did last year. So we're always looking for families and opportunities in that fashion.
So can you tell me, without naming names, tell me about some of the participants in Care to Try that are able to come and be a part of, I've watched some of your national television video clips, and so I've seen them, and I do know their names, but just for the purpose of our show, just tell me a little bit about them and how they are able to participate with you guys?
The characters are the same.
They all are characters. They all have their own personalities, just like everyone. And, every one of them reacts different. They all get something in their own unique way out of it, and so does their family. For those who are verbal, they're able to verbally tell us and, what it means to them. And they go out and they recruit, and they're our best marketing people that can be.
Yeah.
For those who are nonverbal, their families see the relaxation, the therapeutic way that they respond to being out there. So everybody's got a different reaction, but it's all been positive in our experience.
So the gentleman that you were talking about, Greg, who founded this whole Care to Try organization, how did you guys? I mean, you're now the vice president. Is that right?
Correct.
The vice president, and you're their photographer. So what is your hope for Care to Try in terms of the future? What is it that you would wish to see? What's your vision for it?
Well, our hope is that we can grow the organization,
Right.
Have others involved doing it, and do more of the Together We Are programs. At this point, we're opening some chapters. We opened Chicago and St. Louis this year.
Wow.
So there'll be triathletes in those areas that'll be doing what we do to impact their community for people with disabilities, and hopefully grow it to where they can help meet needs in their communities, be advocates for people with disabilities. So that's our hope, is to grow it.
Well, my question is this. What if we're not triathletes or anything close to that, but we still want to participate and help? What are some opportunities for those of us that just want to be involved but can't really do the whole race, bike, swim?
We only volunteers.
We're always looking for volunteers. We have different aspects. We have fundraising events that we need volunteers for. We have people at races. I don't know. Most people don't understand. We don't just show up at the race with our equipment like the normal triathlete might.
Right.
We've got extra equipment and a whole van load to unload set up. We've usually got 3 different wheelchair-bound participants that need to be moved around to different aspects of the race. And so it takes a village to put on what we do at a race, and so we're always looking for hands and feet to help us out there as well. And I think you get something out of it just being there and seeing the impact that it makes.
Yeah. I mean, the race environment, it's interesting that Greg and you guys chose to do a triathlon or race environment, because the energy there is so positive. There's so much enthusiasm. There's so much goodness and excitement. So to be a part of that in any way is really a thrill.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah. The spectators are, it's a happy day. A race day is a happy day. The spectators are happy. The participants are happy. Everybody's in a good mood. Triathletes are some of the happiest, most helpful people you'll want to meet. So, they're out there helping us on and cheering for our sponsored athletes, and we just appreciate everyone that comes out and everyone that cheers for them and helps us out.
So for me, the reason I'm talking about the race mentality so much is because what I find so incredible is that a person with a disability, that would normally be completely impossible, and they would end up being, as with many things, a spectator only. And so to actually be thrust right into the heart of the most exciting part is what is so magical to me.
Different.
That's what makes it different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're
It's
thrown.
really incredible.
They are thrown into something that is a normal part of life for most people that train for it, and that's where our motto is really becomes alive. The inclusion, promoting that inclusion of people.
So you might have just already answered the next question because you're ahead of me. But what are some of the most important messages that you want people to know about people living with disabilities?
That they're people too. They have the same hopes and dreams as everyone else. It's amazing once you take the time to get to know someone with a disability, how similar they are. Mm-hmm. As a human being, we're all very similar.
So you had mentioned inclusion right before I asked you that question. And what about just acceptance.
Yeah. Acceptance is a big thing in our society, and you know, we see different things happening online on social media where the generations today are starting to accept people that look different, and there's a big aspect of, you know, instead of looking perfect and photoshopped, it's okay to be yourself, and we think this will be a great thing that'll carry forward for people that are in a wheelchair with a prosthetic that look physically different, because that's who they are, and we need to accept that that's where they're at.
Yeah. Is that part of why you chose photography? To be able to show, to be on the other side of the camera as well? Instead of just being on the end where you're always in the pictures. Was that difficult for you at first?
Yeah, originally he was the family photographer because he didn't
Oh, you were always the family photographer. Okay.
he didn't like himself photographed in the beginning.
Okay, yeah.
From his changes and
right. That's what I
during-
remember you
yeah.
saying. So is being on the other side of the camera more fun?
I am controlling.
He's in control then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
his element. Yep.
I should get a camera. So, as you've looked over your life and all that you've experienced, if you had a secret to living a happy and successful life, what would it be? You can each have one. Stephanie, we'll want to start with you.
I would say just find your purpose in life. Everyone, I believe, has a purpose and can contribute positively to society in some fashion. It may not be a triathlon. It may not be working with disabled people. Whatever your love is what you should find, and that'll help carry you through life.
I love that. How about you?
He wants to leave his fingerprint impression on everyone he meets.
I love that. That's beautiful. You've certainly left it on me. So thank you so much for being here. I've totally enjoyed everything about you guys, and I'm looking forward to volunteering at Care to Try.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
On the red couch.